So, what is a polyglot? I am Björn from Become a Polyglot. Now, the word polyglot seems to create headaches and frustration throughout the language learning community. There are a lot of disagreement about what it really means. How many languages do you need to speak to call yourself a polyglot? What is the difference between multilingual, hyperpolyglot, and polyglot? How many languages do you need to know to respectively use these terms? Let's go into it. Now, the Oxford Dictionary of English says, firstly, that a monolingual person is a person that speaks only one language. So at least we can agree on that. Bilingual is a person speaking two languages fluently. Again, according to Oxford Dictionary of English. And a trilingual person is a person speaking three languages fluently. A multilingual person is a person using several languages, according to Oxford Dictionary of English. And interestingly enough, that is the same definition it has for a polyglot. A person using several languages. So, what are several? Well, let's look that word up in the Oxford Dictionary of English. Several means more than two, but not many. Okay, going back to the definition of multilingual, we can insert that instead of several. So a multilingual person is a person using more than two languages. And the same for a polyglot. A person using more than two languages. So in essence, that means three or more languages. So we can conclude that a multilingual person, according to Oxford Dictionary of English, is a person using three or more languages, and the same is true for a polyglot. But what is a hyperpolyglot then? Well, that is a term that is not found in the Oxford Dictionary of English, neither did I find it in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. I did, however, find this article on Wikipedia, where it says that Richard Hudson, born 1939, professor emeritus of linguistics at the University College of London, he coined the term hyperpolyglot for people who know dozens of languages well. So that's 12 plus languages, right? Anybody in doubt? A dozen means a group or set of 12. So a hyperpolyglot is a person who knows 12 plus languages well. So let's do a summary from our findings from the dictionaries. Monolingual, a person who can speak one language fluently. Bilingual, a person who can speak two languages fluently. Trilingual, a person who can speak three languages fluently. Multilingual and polyglot, that's a person who can use several languages. And a hyperpolyglot, a person who knows dozens of languages well. So let's look at the words speak versus using versus know. I would suggest we just change them all to speak, because that is what we are talking about. And also, everybody needs to be able to speak these languages fluently, or at least well. Finally, we need to change these words for numbers. We already saw it, that more than two, several means more than two. So we're going to write three or more on multilingual, three or more on the polyglot. And we saw the word dozens, so that's 12 or more for hyperpolyglot. So this is the summary from the dictionaries. However, I would like to make one suggestion, or rather two, but let's begin with the first one. I would change the number of languages for a multilingual person and a polyglot to 4 languages. The reason for that is that if you speak 3 languages, I think for the most part we will call that person a trilingual person. I don't think many trilingual persons goes around calling themselves a polyglot. Maybe maybe they will use the term I'm multilingual, but for the most part, you will call this person a trilingual person. I would also suggest that most current definitions of a polyglot use the number 4 or more languages as a minimum requirement to be labeled a polyglot. So that was my suggestion number 1, that the definition of a multilingual, and at least for a polyglot, we set the minimum number of languages to 4 and not 3, because 3 languages, then we use the term trilingual. My second suggestion is that when we say that a person should speak the language fluent, or at least well, we could define that more precisely as the B2 level on the European language scale. Because it's not to be expected that you can speak 4, 5, 6, 7 languages just like a native. What we intend to say is that you can speak with ease, that you can speak without stopping, looking for words. You are able to communicate easily. You are fluent in the more common sense of the word. So, and that is achieved, that is where you are when you have reached around the B2 level on the European language scale. For those of you who are not familiar with the European language scale, as I call it, or the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, CEFR, you can see that this scale goes from the beginner level, actually it goes from A1 to A2, that's the beginner level. Then you have the intermediate level going from B1 to B2, intermediate to upper intermediate, and then you have the advanced level going from C1 to C2. C2, then you are a native person. So what I'm suggesting is that if you have a language ability on the B2 level, you are able to speak rather fluently. You can speak with ease. If you look at the vocabulary for each of the levels, you will see that you at this level have around 4,000 words. And even though you're not at the advanced level, I would suggest still that you have a good command of the language at the B2, and it's enough to check off that language in your list of languages when we are looking at if you are a polyglot or not. So to summarize, what is a polyglot? I mean that the answer should be a polyglot is a person who can speak 4 or more languages fluent or well. That is to say, at around the B2 level on the European language scale. So according to this definition of a polyglot, I am personally not a polyglot, but I am an aspiring polyglot, as they say. That is, I have 4 languages. First one is Norwegian. I am born in Norway. I am Norwegian, so I speak Norwegian natively. Like every Norwegian, I learned English in school, so that is around C1 level. For the last few years, I've been learning Italian, so I am currently at the B1 level. That needs to rise in my eyes to become one of the languages in the polyglot count. I need to raise that to B2. And then I recently just started learning Russian. I now know the alphabet and some words and some grammar. But this A1 level, of course, needs to also rise to the B2 level, where I'm able to speak both Russian and Italian with fluency. If I reach the B2 level in Italian and Russian, I have 4 languages at the B2 level or above, then I will be able to say that I am a polyglot, but currently I don't consider myself a polyglot with this situation. Some fun facts at the end. Did you know that of the world's population, 40% speak 1 language only, while 43% can speak 2 languages? 13% of the world's population are trilingual, 3% are polyglots, they can speak 4 languages, And finally, 5 or more languages, less than 1% of the world's population have that ability. So that's it. If you have opinions, please leave a comment below. I would love to receive feedback. And if you liked this video, you may want to subscribe to my channel. Bye bye.